Okay, this is Rob again. Today we're going to be installing the new 2-barrel Holley 350 CFM carburetor. We've made a few modifications, as you can probably tell. We've taken out the old recirculation here and just put a breather. Here, where this goes to the PCV valve, we've just put in a simple T, and this will run to the base of the carburetor. And then unfortunately, we realized during mock-up that there were a few pieces that we didn't quite have and couldn't quite attain exactly what we needed, so we made a few pieces. This is totally okay during mock-up. Long-term, maybe not so great, but for right now, this is what we're going to use. We put a bolt through here where we had the original pin that was holding the apparatus on. We're going to run our cable up here through the pedal. Now, a lot of times you might need some help unless you want to hang out at the outside of the car and just kind of peek through the opening here. To set your pedal exactly where you feel high and low is. So obviously when it's all the way to the floor, it's going to be, back really far. And eventually we'll add our return springs and everything, but for right now, we're going to start with our cable. So over here, you can see we have a few more pieces than we had last time. We had this original spacer. Unfortunately, it wasn't clearing the valve cover very well, so we had to end up getting a thicker spacer and a mounting bracket. So this is what we're converting our single barrel to our double barrel. We had to notch out the side in order for it to clear the manifold breather. So we're going to start assembly right now on that, beginning with the cable. So the cable first, we actually cut off around 4 inches, 4.5 inches of cable. It was a little bit too long. Otherwise, this setup's going to work really well. We're just going to take this out of here. Just a simple hex. That comes out. Now, normally you would use some kind of a bar to attach your new carburetor to your existing accelerator, but we're going to be doing it like this. This is how we came up with it, so that's what we're going to go with. So, let's go over here. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to attach this cable to the accelerator cable, or accelerator pedal, sorry. Let me grab the bracket. Now, some of these parts are really, really small, so they're really easy to get lost. This is just a simple pin with a couple of little clips that hold it together. So we're going to go here to our accelerator pedal, and we're just going to run that through. Put the pin through, and put our clip on the other side. Now, if you end up dropping this clip, it's not the end of the world. It's just can be a hassle. Alright, let me grab and a little time consuming. There's not a whole lot of room in here. A lot of times you'll crawl into the engine compartment because there's more room when you're actually sitting in here. Okay, so that's our cable attached. Next, we're going to attach the other part of the cable through our new mounting bracket that we created. Run that through there. And just for now, we're just going to hand tighten it. That'll be fine. Now, when we first started mocking it up and we realized we weren't going to have the same kind of clearance that we needed, we also figured out that we needed to have a spacer between the accelerator cable, pedal, and the assembly that we created. This kind of gets in the way a little. So what we did was we took a piece of fuel line and we just cut it off. It's about 1.5 inches long. And we'll slide that onto our cable. And that'll eat up that little bit of clearance that we need. Once again, this is just one of those things that you do on the cuff. It's not really thought about, not industry standard. Every mechanic has their own little tricks. Sometimes you can get what you need, but not always. So that's basically how our cable is going to run. Okay, now we need to start mounting our carburetor. So we're going to carefully pull this back Make sure this is clean. Sometimes using a little solvent to clean it is a good idea. I think we're okay. Now we're going to start with our gasket. It'll sit right like that. Now this is our mounting plate. This is the one we had to notch out for this area right here. Plus we had to ream these out a little bit in order to make them fit. The existing studs were thicker than the ones that come with the carburetor, so we're just going with the existing. And eventually when we upgrade the intake and exhaust manifolds, we'll probably swap these studs out as well. But that's down the road. So for right now, we're just going to do it like this. And there's torque settings for everything. We're not going to be torquing anything quite down because we're going to be kind of moving things around and mocking some other things up. So this is just for a test start. Can't be loose, but if you tighten it too tight, you run the risk of breaking the bracket, you run the risk of damaging the gasket, so just be easy with it. That's good and on there. Okay, next. I had to buy these extra long studs because it's kind of hard to tell, but there's quite a clearance issue from here and this valve cover. So in order to make everything fit correctly, we had to buy these longer studs and kind of sandwich the two brackets together. On this particular stud, it's actually shorter than the others because our accelerator throttle wasn't clearing, so we just kind of chop that off and ground it down. Just a really simple fix. Okay, now I'm just going to give these a little bit of a tighten. Not terribly tight because, like I said, we're probably going to be removing this again at some point to do another modification. But just for right now, for a test start, it should be okay. Okay. Next we have a series of gaskets and whatnot. First, we're going to put our gasket on here. Now these things always seem to stick, but you can lightly tap them down. Just be very careful not to damage it. Kind of walk your way around from side to side. Now our next plate. So like I said, be very, very gentle and you'll be fine. Okay, we can kind of tuck this out of the way. Alright, now we're ready to mount the carburetor. And here's our brand new Holley 2-barrel. Like a glove. Alright. Now before we add any of our support brackets or anything like that, Just going to throw a couple of these washers on here, and we're going to tighten the carburetor down. It's really difficult to get to this back screw in the very back corner, so you should actually start with that one by lifting the carburetor up, and you just got to kind of feel for it. But then once you're sure it's on, you can let the carburetor back down. A lot of this is feel, so don't feel like you have to see everything. If you've never done this before, it can be very intimidating. But just realize it's just another part of the car. It's just another operation. Everything can be fixed. And in some cases, modified to work like this. Okay. I want to show you guys, this is very crucial for your tightening sequence. You want to make sure to tighten in across so that you don't crack or break the gasket, the mounting plate, any of that kind of stuff. I believe this particular carburetor requires between 60 and 80 pounds of torque. But once again, we're not going to torque it down to setting. We're just going to put it on. Okay. So we start with this one back here. Not really tight, just lightly tight. Go around in a circle pattern. Back, forth, back, forth. And slowly but surely these will start to sandwich together. I'm just going to alternate between socket and wrench. Okay, it's good and on there. Next, we're going to connect the choke cable. This will help us just get it out of the way, and we'll know what we're working with. Because otherwise, these parts tend to hang in the way and get a little bit annoying after a while. Okay, and you always want to make sure fully open, fully closed. Kind of get that one started just to get it in position where you want it. Now, as you tighten this cable, you notice that it starts to bend up. That's totally normal, but you have to make sure to bend it back down, because if you don't, it's going to hit the new air cleaner. So there we go. Now, if I go inside and I pull that choke, you should see the activation here. Set it a little farther forward. I had the choke open inside, unfortunately, so we're going to have to do this again. Okay. All the way forward. Okay. Let's check the activation. Very smooth. Okay. Next, we're going to connect this hose. This is the return for the air. It's really hard to get to if you have everything else connected, so we're going to connect it first. It's all the way on the back, on the very base of the